You know, one of the things that's absolutely necessary in recovery from being an alcoholic, and probably other things also, but I know about being in recovery from alcoholism. One thing that you absolutely have to do is you have to stop bullshitting yourself. You put it this way, maybe you can never really totally stop bullshitting yourself because you're a human being, and I think it's probably part of human nature that we bullshit other people and we bullshit ourselves. But you have to make a concerted effort to minimize the extent to which you bullshit yourself and develop a habit of calling yourself out on it. You got to be vigilant for, self bullshit. Because that's a big part of alcoholism, man. It's like a way of life, bullshitting yourself. I have a problem. First, I don't have a problem. I don't really have a problem. And then, I got a problem, but, everybody has problems. It's just my problem. And I manage it. I deal with it. It's a problem. Anyways, not to sermonize about this, but it's relevant. It's relevant because, last night I consider last night's video, I consider it to have been a good video. It had some good lessons in it, some good pointers, some good tips, some good information, but something was bugging me about this mix. And I kept talking about how, the bass frequencies are full, they're crowded, there's a lot going on down there. There's a lot going on down there in the bass frequencies. I don't need to be putting any more bass frequencies down in there. It's kind of like, that crawl space is full. That basement's full. Yeah? Full of what? Full of bullshit? Maybe. Right? I had to really sit down and calm myself on it. Because, there's a lot going on down there. It's murky down there. I did manage to clear it up a bit. I managed to shine some light on it. But still, there's just kind of a funky aroma coming up from down there. And I was kind of trying to write it off to myself as, it's kind of jungly, right? And the jungle is jungly and messy. So, it's a gorilla song, so it's okay. No, that was me bullshitting myself. And right. So, in mixing as in other areas of life, recovery included. Now, if you're not an alcoholic and you're not here, as that type of person, fine. This doesn't apply to you. But I think it kind of applies to everybody because, again, human nature, we all bullshit each other. We bullshit ourselves. We bullshit ourselves about bullshitting ourselves. And we bullshit other people about bullshitting other people. And we bullshit ourselves about bullshitting other people. And we bullshit other people about bullshitting ourselves. Does that cover all the permutations? I think so. I could get even more recursive about it. We're bullshitters. Right, so, speak to yourself, AAE. But no, I think I have a point. So, anyways, let's get to this here on the screen here. I kept talking about this drum. I own this drum. I was using this drum. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's like, what's that all about? It took me 3 seconds to type in pronunciation, and Brave Browser's trusty AI assistant, came up with the answer right there. Based on the search results, here are the key points on how to pronounce Bodhran. The first syllable is bow, not bow, similar to the bow of a ship or the action of bowing after a performance. The second syllable is Ron, similar to Ron Burgundy. I like Ron Swanson myself. I'm a Ron Swanson kind of guy. Or Ron Howard's surname, Howard. Isn't surname like, surname is surname your first name or your last name? What? Surname. I thought your first name is your given name and your last name is your surname. What is a surname? A name shared in common to identify the members of a family, as distinguished from each member's given name. Yeah, that's your last name. So Ron Howard's surname is Howard. Okay, so the AI fucked up. Good. I'm glad the AI fucked up. I don't want a perfect AI. I want an AI that I have to fact check, Got to keep the thing on its toes. No. Ron Howard's, similar to Ron Burgundy or Ron Howard. Ron Howard's first name, given name, in which case the second example is redundant. Anyway, it's Bowdron. It's like, why have I been, fumbling over the pronunciation? I could have just looked it up. So, Bowdron. This is irrelevant. Okay? The afternoon is fast slipping away. I really wanted to track. See, here's what happened. All right, so I caught myself bullshitting myself about this mix. All right? Okay. I acknowledged it. Okay, I'm bullshitting myself. I got to get to the bottom of this, literally. I got to go down into the bass frequency basement and sort this shit out. Because ultimately this is not a song of where the interest of this song is the rhythm. It's not the chord changes. It's mostly just, for most of the song, it's just B minor, F sharp major with a short break in the bridge. It's just back and forth, right? With a simple, minor pentatonic vocal melody. The interesting part of the song is the rhythm, and I'm garbling up the most interesting part of the song, and I'm bullshitting myself about it. Why? I don't know. Why did I want to track this amplified guitar part with the Yamaha SG Korean clone, the electric guitar? Because I wanted to do a really low, I wanted to use a certain setting in the black box to do this the Gorilla's vocal part. All right? But then I'm like, well, there's no room down there. It's all just, it's jungle. And I'm not facing it. So there's no point in tracking that. It's just going to make the problem worse, Again, if you got a booze problem, the parallels here are obvious. I don't need to belabor them. So anyway, so I decided to get down to it, address it head on. So what did I end up doing? I ended up turning everything off. I got down to soloing the kick and the new snare. The kick and the new snare. And for reference, I soloed the kick and the new snare and the original guitar part. All right, that's where I started. And I made sure that to the best of my ability, every hit of that kick drum and every hit of that snare were tight with that original guitar part. Okay? And then I soloed the vocal part. Right? So it's just original acoustic guitar part, original vocal part, kick and snare. And I made sure that was tight. And it was a little tricky this time because the new snare part, I didn't just do a straight 2/4 snare part all the way through. I did it in a more interesting way. Why? Because of things called polyrhythms. Because I knew, now I did this crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, hoping that when I turned all the toms back on, that everything would coalesce. Because if it didn't, I was going to have a big problem. That I don't even want to think about. Fortunately, once I had cleaned up the core, okay, I got the core strong, tight, and cohesive. If I had to cut everything else away down to that acoustic guitar, the kick, the snare, and my vocal, I'd still have a song. That's the point. I'd still have a song. You know? That's the bare essentials right there. Now, luckily, when so I just gradually began soloing in another track, the tom tracks one by one, and sure enough, yeah. Okay, there were places where, now, do they match perfectly, precisely, like a computer? No, that's fine. And now I'm not bullshitting myself. There is some elasticity there. It's a human element. There are places where things kind of drag a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, it's the human touch. And I'm not bullshitting myself about this. Okay. Anyway, I brought the toms back in. It worked out. There were a couple places where I had to make some concessions to the toms, and I had to go in and just like tweak the snare here in certain milliseconds here and there, just to make it work with the toms, just to make everything work together, right? And in the process, I realized that I had forgotten like something so essential, so core to this mix. I can't fathom how I forgot about it. I guess it's, well, who knows? I'm not even going to hypothesize, but I forgot the baudron. I forgot about the baudron. Why did I track the baudron? Because I had the toms turned on and everything's grooving, and I was like, oh, baudron. I hadn't looked it up yet. Baudron. However you pronounce that thing. Baudron. What's that doing down at? It's leveled it down in like a minus 11.9. I can't even hear it. I soloed it in. I can't hear it. Well, what's it doing there? Why did I track it? What is it doing there? It's not doing anything. It's hardly even adding, mud. It's just, I can't hear it. Why not? So, the reason why I tracked the bow drawn, all right? I was going to track this loud guitar part, the gorilla's voice, because that's what I did in other mixes when I did this song. I made the gorilla's vocal part with the with that guitar and effects, and I still might do it, all right, because now I have the space to do it, and it's really cool the way I did it, and I probably will do it, but at the time I tracked the bow drawn, I wasn't planning on doing that. Because I wanted to do it, because in keeping with the limitations that I set originally for this project, I wanted to show how, even without an electric guitar and a black box, effects and all that, with some ingenuity and some resourcefulness, you can achieve your objectives. You can be creative and artistic. And so at the time I was thinking, how can I get the gorilla's voice in there without my usual tricks? The bow drawn, because it's a deep, low, it's a very deep, low, resonant drum, and you can bend it, right? The head is quite loose, and so you can strike it and push down on the head, and when you do that, you can bend the pitch up, strike and bend the pitch up, or you can press on it and strike and relax, and strike and bend the pitch down. You can strike it and then with your hand push on it and bend it up and down. It's kind of like a tonal language, like Vietnamese or something. Whatever. So it came flooding back to me. That's why I tracked the bow drawn. The bow drawn. I can't even hear it. What the hell is it? What? All right. Well, in keeping with my general philosophy of not wallowing in past mistakes, I kind of sat there for a minute in consternation, and I said I did a couple of WTFs to myself, but then I said, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. And so the gorilla is in the song. The gorilla is attempting to sing. I told the long-suffering missus who loves this song, and she's so picky about this song. And before I started adding all these parts, it was once I'd finished with the toms, and that was, and I hadn't begun messing around with it, and she heard it and she loved it. She's like, please don't change it. I said, well, I'm gonna. She's like, well, please keep this, which I did, kind of. Anyway, but I told her, I said, this time, this version of gorilla in the corner of the room, I want to show some love for that gorilla, all right? And I said, can you hear the love for the gorilla now? And she's like, yeah. He's kind of sweet and goofy. He's dark and sinister, but he's got a sweet, goofy side. She didn't say that, but all right, okay. She's Korean. She wouldn't say that, but But that was our consensus when we talked about it. She agreed with that. And all right, so that's enough of a lead up to this. So first, I'm just going to let you hear it. I think this is right before the second chorus and the bridge. And you know, so I also I cleaned up the toms. I gave them more definition, more separation, less low end, less mud. I took the mud out. I basically, what do you call it, sump pumping? I sump pumped that basement. And, right. So this is the value of not bullshitting yourself. All right, so now we can hear the baudron, and you know, I'm not done yet at all, but this was such a breakthrough moment that I thought, yeah, you know, this is a good time to fire up the video and go over some lessons. I'm trying to teach how to do this stuff, but I'm learning as I go, and I'm relearning as I go. So yeah, here we are. Without further ado, yeah, I'm just going to let me see, fit project. So this is the baudron track right here. Or no, that's new snare. Where's baudron? This is how I saved it. All right, hang on. Let's look at the baudron waveform. Where's the damn track? There it is. Baudron. That's what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like frozen. I need to freeze it anyway. Actually, don't need to freeze it, but that's just kind of part of my workflow right now. I just to prevent crashes. It's probably not going to crash if I play it without freezing this track, but just in case. Because I do have a lot of plugins going. And that's another thing I'm looking at. You know, I'm going back through my plugins and I'm figuring out which ones either don't work anymore or are doing something deleterious to the mix, you know. Earlier decisions that no longer apply, no longer relevant. The problem that I was trying to solve is no longer there, or the nature of that problem has changed. All right, so it's interesting. Look at this waveform. It's like, it's got this like dripping transient here. Look at that. Yeah, it looks kind of creepy. That's probably, maybe that's because of the bend. Okay, you're going to hear what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I want to do some run up here. Oh, okay, all right. There's the, yeah, we'll do it from right here. All right. Ready? I'll draw. Can you believe I forgot that? Yeah, it's amazing. Is it perfectly tight? You know, like if the Talking Heads did that, it would be like, I don't know. They might not do it. They could do it perfectly tight. A band like that. Is it? No. Am I fine with it? Yeah, I really am. I want it to be a little bit shambling. I don't want it to be perfect. That's showing some love to that gorilla, you know. Maybe showing a little bit of love to myself as well. Yeah, cut myself a little slack. Not too much. Anyway, so that's the revelation, and so now, you know, going forward, you notice here that look at the console strip for the Baudron over here on the left. Baudron. Got to get used to saying that. It peaked at negative 0.2. Right. It's right now it's pretty loud, okay? But now a lot of things are coming into consideration right now, so please bear with me. If you're really interested in this mixing thing, this has got a lot to come away with, trust me. I have not turned on the other guitar parts. There's only one guitar part going. That's the original acoustic guitar part. All right? There's this guitar part called Sky Cry. There's this other guitar part panned left and right. There's the bypass chorus guitar part. There's the phaser strings part. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 guitar parts, one panned left and right. They're not even, I haven't even added them yet. So, that Baudron is, you know, quite prominent right now. Is it going to be so prominent when I turn those things back on? No. Which kind of like leads to the question, do I want to turn all of them back on? Do I want to turn any of them back on? The long-suffering missus would probably say, no, don't turn them back on. I like it. She'd probably like it just like this. She's kind of a purist in her own way. She's like that with food too, you know. You know, she'll boil a potato. I'll be like, yeah. Want me to make some gravy? Yeah, with some, you know, butter and mushrooms and make you a gravy. I got some drippings over here. No, I just want the potato. You just want the potato? Yeah, I just want the potato. I want to taste the potato. She might have a little, just like a little quarter-sized little mound of salt to kind of like touch the potato to the salt. I just want to taste the potato. Right? It's all about taste at the end of the day. I like bigger mixes. I like lots of nuances and things going on. Sometimes I like to listen to this thing. Sometimes I like to listen to that thing. I like to sort of like spread my attention around. Anyway, depending on how much of this guitar stuff I add back in and at what levels, you know, I could add it all back in and re-level it. Probably what I'm going to end up doing. But here is the certain thing of a certainty that Baudron gorilla part has to be the centerpiece. It's the centerpiece. If it's not there, it's and it has to be the centerpiece to look. Okay, so there's so much I could get into right now. Let's just start with this, okay? I'm going to turn to some practical things now. Practical things to know when you're mixing. So first of all, I'm gonna unfreeze the bow drawn, and you notice that it peaked. Now that's the I don't expect it to peak any higher elsewhere in the song. That's the most intense part. It's not going to peak above that anywhere else, right? What if I want to make it louder? Do I want to add more compression? No. I'll show you real quick. I've got this thing called the PX64 percussion strip. I mentioned it last night in passing. I've actually gone over it in some detail in a previous installment here. The stages, the shaper, the compressor, expander. The expander, I didn't really get into that, but it's at its most extreme setting, it's a gate. And what is a gate? A gate just cuts off the signal below a certain dB level, right? So there's like the decay, and then once it comes down to a certain minus dB level, it just cuts off. It just goes over a cliff, and you don't hear anything. And you use that in for various reasons, different situations. Sometimes it's because there's some kind of noise in the background, and you don't need the entire decay part of the envelope, and so you just cut it off. But there are other reasons to use it as well. I'm not using it here at all because I want the whole Gorilla envelope. I don't want any part of it cut off. So much so that I tried to EQ it. I tried the equalizer stage. This is a perfectly rational thing to do. A little bit of a cut around 900 hertz. A little bit of a boost around 3000 hertz. Like textbook kind of thing to do. And a roll off in the low bass frequencies. And I was like, nope, not touching it. Yeah. So I'm using the compressor, I'm using the shaper. And I've gone over those before. Sometimes I like the compressor in the percussion strip, sometimes I don't. In this case, I like what it's doing. I'm using it. The shaper, I've got the attack set as sharp as I can before it causes the bow drawn track to clip. So I've got this where I want it. I'm not doing anything else with this. It's performing its function as I want it to. That's kind of done for now. Whoops. That's kind of done for now. And so the question remains, well, when I start adding parts back in, what if I need to get that bow drawn a little bit louder without clipping it? I don't want to add another stage of compression. It's compressed in the compressor stage of the Pro channel. It's compressed in the percussion strip. And if I add more, it's also got this thing called the Finisher Micro, set to chorus, which I quite like also. And this Finisher Micro is also a compressor. It's a compressor. It's a very nice compressor. It's a mastering style compressor with some really, really cool, amazing, flexible effects. Okay, it's just, I love this plugin so much. I use it so much. So no more compression on the Gorilla's voice. No more compression. But there is one thing I can get away with. All right? And so here's the tip, here's the trick, here's the lesson, whatever. This is something that I generally use at. Okay, so I'll start to get into this now. Look here. Here's the master channel, the master bus, whatever, where all of the tracks are going into one bus, one channel for final signal manipulation. All right? Final signal processing happens right here. And I got a chain of 5 things going on. And I will be getting into that in detail later, not today. But I've got this thing right here in the middle. Sometimes it's in a different place, but for whatever reason, I've got it in the middle right now. It's a plugin called Ferric. I just call it Ferric. It's Ferric TDS MK Mark II. I don't know, or MKLL, whatever that is. It's Ferric. It's a Ferric TDS. It's a saturation plugin. It's a warmth plugin. It emulates analog tape warmth, basically. You can see that in the presets. The setting I most commonly use is called gentle leveling. But there's also one called modern tape. And there are a couple of settings for the bass. 3-setted, Bootsy Collins. I haven't used it for bass yet. I've only used it for this purpose. I'm using it primarily as a limiter. I use it primarily as a limiter. If I'm using it primarily as a limiter, why is it in the middle of this mastering chain? Well, reasons. Limiter doesn't have to go at the end. Like sometimes you put a limiter before a compressor. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you put it. So what does a limiter do? Limiter sets a ceiling. It doesn't allow the signal to go through that limit, to go above that limit. It's a hard limit. All right? And if you misuse a limiter, it can cause all kinds of problems. You got to know what you're doing. And you can't overdo it. But sometimes you put a limiter before a compressor because, depending on whether the compressor is set to RMS or just a standard compressor. Generally what a compressor does is it's triggered by the peaks. All right? And if you got a really dynamic track with some really spiky peaks, it can cause the compressor to be a little bit fast on the trigger. It can cause the compressor to overreact, basically, and work harder than you want it to, if that makes sense. So you can stick a limiter before the compressor to kind of like basically trim off those occasional extra sharp peaks. Okay, so the compressor can just kind of relax and focus on its job, if that makes sense. But other times a lot of times I'll just if I really have a mix right where I want it, I don't want to change the mastering compression. I don't want to change anything, but just at like 2 or 3 points in the project, in the song, just a ping, I get a clip of like, plus 0.2, let's say. It just happens like a handful of times at most throughout the project. Then I'll stick this thing at the end. And you can see here on the right, it has a limiter built into it. At this setting of gentle leveling, the limiter is turned off, okay? But what I'll do is I'll dial it into gentle leveling, which is as the name implies, it's a modest setting. It's got a dynamics knob, it's got a saturation knob. Those are set at just perfectly modest settings over here at 9 o'clock. And then what I do is I'll just dial up the limiter until those clips, that occasional clip just goes away. and it doesn't adversely affect the, overall, sound of what I've done. Otherwise, it just shaves off those clips, right? So, what can you do when you've got a track like this bow drawn and it's peaking at minus 0.2, which is perfect. Okay, minus 0.1. Okay, you're in. It's great. What if you wanted it a little bit louder? You don't want it to clip. Well, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee, but one thing you can try is you can try this plugin, or maybe one like it. This is the one I like. So what I'm going to do is, just not for now, but here in a minute, I'm going to insert that here into my effects rack for the bow drawn. When you insert a new effect, it goes at the end of the chain. If you want it elsewhere, you got to drag it up or down, move it in the chain. Here I want it at the end as a limiter, just to see if I can use it as a limiter and just modestly bring up the volume of the bow drawn, the Gorilla, without any distortion to what I already like. Okay? I want to hear the same basic thing, just a little bit louder. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Okay, so I'm going to set it at gentle leveling. All right, actually, I misspoke. The preset with gentle leveling is limiter at 12 o'clock. Up here, I must have dialed the limiter down because it wasn't needed. Or maybe it will be needed and I'll turn it back up later. But anyway, it's just a very nice, very transparent, very non-invasive limiter, very gentle. And if you read the PDF instruction manual for this plugin, it explains that's part of the appeal of this plugin. And it's one of the things that it was intended for, to be a very gentle, very transparent limiter. Not even a band-aid. Just a trusty tool you can take out and use pretty reliably. So anyways, I'm going to park that there. And I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to solo in. What am I going to solo in? I'm going to solo in this one here. If I had to pick one, I could only solo in one more guitar part, and that's it. If the long-suffering missus said, okay, you can have one more guitar part and no more, or some kind of consequences that I took seriously. And I was like, all right, no gun to my head or anything, but I would pick this one. Because this guitar part it's really doing two guitar parts. And so let me explain. I'm gonna fit project here and go back to the beginning, right? And I'm gonna save, by the way. Especially when you're up to a really big mix like this, and it's Windows, man. It crashes. You want to send that crash report to Billy Gates, medical expert Bill Gates, Farmer Gates? I don't want to send it. I don't want to send him anything. All right, so yeah, bypassing chorus. I just named the guitar part after, just to remind me what I did in the black box. That's it. So what I mean by it's playing, it's two guitar parts in one track. This is what I mean. So we might as well go through this because there's some, there's some useful information in this as well. There's going to be a lot of things in this video. It's going to go on a while. Whatever. I'll give it a spicy, inveigling title. I already know what I'm going to call it. Okay. So back to the beginning. Skip the metronome space intro there, and let's just see how it sounds. Now, snare way too honking loud. And why is that? Well, I guess because for like 2 hours I was tweaking that snare part, and where's it leveled? It's leveled at 0.0. I think we can bring that down a little bit. Let's bring it down to -6 and see how it sounds. All right. Oh, away we go again. We're still, all right, -12. Oh, wait a minute. That's not new snare, that's snare. Hang on. And that's muted. Ah. Okay, where is new snare leveled at? -1.7. Let's bring it down to 6. All right. Still a bit much. Bring it down to 9. See, and it's not going to get buried the way that it was before. Okay. All right. All right, bypassing chorus. Oh, I muted it. Way to go. Solo. The bass is still unstable. It's doing things that it shouldn't be doing. I'll get to that. We'll overlook it for now. It's kind of wompy. It's unstable, but it's more clear. I need to go back to the bass guitar track and streamline that as well. Anyway. You know what that is? It's the kick. And I can fix that real quick kick fix. This is a kind of a subsonic plug-in, subsonic frequencies. I'm going to turn on the mix. It makes the kick drum bassier, but it's hang on. There we go. There we go. All right. So there's the new guitar part. Hear it? So what it's doing now, it's on a in the black box. It's on a clean setting, no amp model, bypass the amp models. I generally don't like amp models unless I have a real specific reason. And here, yeah, bypass the amp models. It's just a clean, but it still has amp dynamics. What I mean by that is, Okay, maybe if you don't know anything about guitar amplifiers, amplifiers in general, but I'm talking about guitar amplifiers because this is a guitar part. Where does distortion come from? Right? That's part of like the rock and roll sound, distortion. Overdrive, you think overdrive and distortion. Like overdrive is, it's all clipping. Clipping is bad in digital world. Anything over 0.0. Clipping, why? Well, without getting too technical, in analog world, clipping produces produces nice harmonics. It can produce really nice harmonics that are pleasing to the ear. Harmonic distortion, it's called. In digital world, it produces really cool waves that look nice when you see them. But in digital world, it creates like a square. It just shears off the peaks of the waveform, just makes them square, and it sounds ratty and horrible. Which is why we have, emulators to emulate that analog overdrive and distortion. So, when you're playing a guitar amplifier, see, this goes back to like history of music and amplified music, rock and roll. Where did overdrive and distortion come from? If you already know this, sorry, but this is for beginners primarily. Where do those sounds come from? Well, amplifiers were invented, and at first it was to help guitar players cut through a band and be heard. Before that, there were guitar players had resonators. They were metal-bodied guitars with resonating cones in them. That's a whole other thing. But then amplifiers came out, and they were tube amplifiers, which are still much favored. But so people quickly discovered that when you crank them up too much, particularly there's like a gain stage and an output stage, and if you crank up the gain stage, the input, it'll overdrive. It would overdrive the tubes, and later overdrive the transistors. People gradually began to think that sounded really cool, especially by the 60s, right? And so now, just like being the creatures that we are, we've taken overdrive and distortion. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Anyway, the point being that I set this, I set the black box such that what I was going for was during the verse, I'm just kind of cleanly arpeggiating the chords. Dun, 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 dun. You can hear me kind of going through the notes of the chords, arpeggiating them, and I kind of wanted a clean sound that's just on the edge of breakup. Right before, if you hit the strings harder, it's going to saturate the gain stage, and you're going to start going into overdrive and distortion. Okay? And so that's what I did. Kind of clean, not totally clean, it's a little bit dirty. Arpeggio picking during the verse, and then when the chorus hits, I do a chunka rhythm part that overdrives. Okay, sorry for the long roundabout history lesson, but if you're getting into this, you might as well know these things. All right, so let's just solo. That's a pain in the ass, but there should be like a master solo button. It's like, okay, I'm gradually soloing tracks back in, but I want to zero in on this one, and I just want to unsolo all these with one button. Like I just want to zero in on this one. There should be like a You know how a calculator has like two clear buttons? One is like C and the other is CE? Maybe that's not relevant. There should be another solo button for this case where I just temporarily kick all the other temporarily mute all the other ones that are soloed and just solo this one. But instead I got to go through and unsolo them and remember which ones that I had soloed. Is that it? Yeah, see, I got to remember all this shit. Or maybe there's something obvious that I'm missing. That's also entirely possible. Anyway, I just want to hear this guitar part by itself. I guess we'll do that and we'll solo everything else back in one by one. Because if I'm going to solo this back in, it's got to be right. You can hear how it's just kind of right on the edge of breakup. It's got just a little bit of grit around the edges. That's exactly what I was going for. What plugins I got going here? I got the VX64 vocal strip. Vocal strip? It's not a vocal part. AAE, what are you doing? I'll show you what I'm doing. And you can see here, it's reflected. The waveforms are smaller during the clean arpeggio picking parts. Those are the verses. The chorus parts, they're louder. Loudest at the end when I'm really wonking away. And I think that's cool, and I want it to be audible and appreciable, though not overbearing and in your face. That's the Daniel Lanois appreciator in me. Lanois likes to do stuff like that. Have something that's really super loud in real life, but make it really quiet in the mix. Daniel Lanois. Lanois. He's like, a lot of people never heard of him, but he produced all those Grand Slam U2 albums that everybody loves, except me, because I don't like Bono. I digress. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, why the VX64 vocal strip? Because I'm using the doubler. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Let's hear the diff. Well, I like it still. You hear the CPU starting to glitch a little bit? That's making me nervous. It's because I just unfroze this track and I didn't freeze another one. That means I need to go back and refreeze the kick. Freeze. That's the point that we're getting to. I tell you what, while this is freezing, I'm going to put this on pause. I'm going to go see a man about a horse. If you're from my neck of the woods, you know what that means. Back in a flash. All right. The kick is frozen. 59 minutes and 1 second. 2, 3, 4. Time's a ticking. Right. So, back to our guitar part on the edge. The guitar part on the edge. We're using this vocal strip for the doubler. It's a vocal doubler. It's nice to double vocals. It duplicates the signal and puts it slightly out of phase, I think. It's supposed to emulate something that people actually do in real life, which is sing the same part twice. And of course, the two parts are not going to be absolutely identical, and so they thicken the vocal part and make it more interesting. And they kind of give it a broader, more stereo feel, right? Which is why the doubler has a stereo setting. Presence is the amount of modulation done to the doubled vocal signal, and the stereo, makes it wider, the stereo field. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it on for now. I've got TDR Nova doing this thing. Might as well see what it looks like. Listen to that with and without. TDR Nova is wonderful, man. God bless Tokyo Dawn Records for giving this thing away. It doesn't even have any locked features. It's just, God bless them. Anyway, that's staying. We also have the stereo width enhancement, also from TDR. It's a stereo width enhancement is a preset in this EQ plugin. Off. It takes a little bit of boominess out of it and just clarifies it and just, it does something really subtle, which I like. And so I'm keeping it. I stand by my decisions. And so that brings us, either I'm going to add something else to the signal, or I'm going to, all right, hang on. There. All right, it's leveled down to minus 11.1. I tracked it pretty hot. So I might level it down a little bit, but that's what it's doing. Oh, so listen to what it's doing when we hit the chorus. Hang on, there we go. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the chorus. That is the sound, though not the visceral feel, of tubes beginning to break up. It's tube breakup. And it's really, really, here's that thing. So I wasn't really hitting it hard then, but by the end, again, like building up a song, build elements, right? So at the end, there's also some flange going on in there. Sure enough, I've got more plugins added to it. The flange is from the Finisher Micro. And I tried to make that subtle, perhaps too subtle. Normally I shy away from like things like wet flanges and whatnot, but in this song, in this project, I'm going for it. I can change my mind. What else? This is a very interesting plug-in bundle called Air Windows Consolidated, absolutely free. It's just dozens of plugins in one that were created by this genius who just decided to give all of his work away for free. And it works. A lot of it's really subtle, unique, his own ideas, that he developed for very specific applications and decided to share it all with the world. Absolutely free. Air Windows Consolidated. You can download it. It's got a installer. Just go through the install. Boom, boom, boom. It's right there. It shows up as one plugin in your menu, but then you open it and all the different plugins are in this drop-down menu with the arrows over here for, it's all the different plugins. So I've got one called Crunchy Grooveware. Hang on. Right on. That's doing something real subtle. The Finisher Micro, of course. Panagement. I tend to overuse Panagement. Let me hear it without Panagement. Panagement's a spatializer reverb. I've featured it before. I tend to overuse it. Often I have to go back and remove it where I change my mind. This might be one of those times. It's doing something very minimal here. Nope, I stand by that too. Just giving it a little bit of space, just a little bit of this, fine. All right, so I stand by all my decisions so far with this, except for possibly the level, which is relative to everything else, and everything else has changed. Okay, so now the point, we gotta listen to what happens with the Bowdron. So here we go. Now I got to go back and then solo in everything. Guitar, bass, save. Cakewalk doesn't generally autosave. Okay, main vocal, kick, snare, toms, new snare, toms, tom-toms, laser toms, gorilla toms, jet plane toms, and Bowdron. No gongs yet. No box cutter B super low jungle drums yet. I'm going to be very methodical about this. Here we go.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass phones. I am nothing but a walking case of probable cause.
The kick is still pumping a little bit. Oh well.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy.
All right, so my first inclination is Valdron's doing fine. It's still clearly audible. However, and the CPU is dragging a little tiny bit. So where have I not frozen? What have I not frozen? Kick is still frozen. Again, console view should have that damn snowflake button, that freeze button right there. It should, shit. You see, you got to be careful with that mouse wheel. I want to do this, but the mouse cursor happens to be on the pan knob, and see what happens? This is one of these things that probably not cakewalk. It's just, all right. Bypassing course. Bypassing course is unfrozen. Well, this is how I can know when things are frozen. Drums. Gorilla toms. Hang on. Drums. Oh, that's the sends. Gorilla toms is not frozen. Baldron is not frozen. I got some things unfrozen here. Which means that even in the background, the CPU is doing this math. Okay, so I got to pause and go back in and refreeze and freeze everything that I don't need right now. Okay, so this is not to go see a man about a horse. This is just to spare us the awkward moments that will be required for the freezing of these tracks. Back in a flash. All right, I'm back. And so everything's frozen that needs to be frozen. Everything's unfrozen needs to be unfrozen. CPU is doing fine. And I did take a minute to get myself back to where I was before I paused mentally. And so, yeah, I felt like this bypass chorus, clean to crunchy, arpeggio to chunka chunka guitar part that I just soloed back into the mix was in the way, as it were. It was getting in the way of the Baldron, the Gorillas part. So, level down. Well, it's already down, as you can see, it's already down at minus 9.2. So, I went back to the Panagement plugin. And if you'll recall, it was originally down around right here, just doing this little circle thing. Listen to what happens when I move it up here. And again, this amphitheater-shaped semicircular thing is a visual representation of the audio field. All right? And I think you'll understand what that means if you don't already. When you hear me move this thingamajig north. All right, so I'm going to start. Well, I'll just start where I am right now.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass.
Just going to move it around. Listen what happens.
Sometimes I think this world ain't nothing but a set of dirty jaws designed to chew upon perfection and spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy.
No need to level it down. Just resituate it. Just resituate it. Give it another place. By the way, I rather liked it panned off to the side. I'm gonna bear that in mind. If I pan it off to the right, I'm gonna want another element off to the left. I'm a Libra. Not that that means anything, but I am. I'm a dead center Libra. October 10th, baby. And yeah, if I got an element going over there to the right, I want something else going on over there to the left, although I can't hear it. I'm partially deaf in my left ear. I don't hear high frequencies in my left ear, so I'm constantly having to do this when I really do hardcore panning, right? And this is why I generally don't. I don't usually pan tracks left and right very much. I tend to use spatializer plugins and things that give the illusion of more stereo separation. Because that way I don't have to worry about it so much. I can trust that the plugin is doing its thing for the most part. Anyway, for me, that just clears that right up. And my only question is, I'm going to go here at the end where that part gets really going. And, I want to hear how it sounds at the crescendo, as it were. Gorilla's not as clear at the end, but by that time you've heard him clearly before, and so you know what it is. You know where he is. So yeah, I did level it down a little bit, took it down to minus 9.9, and so not that I'm not going to tweak it a bit more. I will. I think that bypass pass plus chorus part, it a little bit cold and harsh around the edges. It needs some. I know what it needs. I think I know what it needs. And I'm going to pause again while I look for it. Be right back. All right, I found what I was looking for. It's another Air Windows Consolidated plugin called Purest Warm 2. And it's just two knobs. Dry, positive, dry, negative. It just warms up. It does, these are very simple. They're wonderful because each one comes up with his own write-up of his how he created it, why he created it, how to use it. So I selected just a little part right here in the outro where you can kind of hear what it's doing to that guitar part, what I wanted. Just a little less, just to take some of the ice off of it. So here is without. Listen to what that guitar is doing. You can really hear the jet flange going in there. It's kind of icy. Now I'll turn it on, listen again. You hear the diff? Okay. So enough of that. I'm going with that for the time being. Going to go ahead and freeze it. While it's freezing, should have saved before I hit freeze. It'll be okay. While I'm freezing it, I'm going to think out loud about, well, let's say that the long-suffering missus says, okay, all right. I can still hear gorilla. I'm still yeah, okay. You can add one more guitar, only one more, and this time I mean it, only one more. What would it be? So I can't scroll up and look at my choices right now, but I'm thinking, all right, well, there's one more that I'm going to add no matter what, because it's so non-invasive. That's the sky cry part. It's just little notes up in the sky that there's some interesting harmonic interplay between those notes and the vocal melody that do it. This, again, Rick Beato could explain what's going on. I can't, but it does something nice. It adds a touch of sophistication to an otherwise unsophisticated melody. All right, so that's frozen. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that back in, Sky Cry. So that leaves yesterday was phaser strings, which was really, really subtle, at least to my ears when I added it last night. But now, well, not subtle anymore. And since that's the last thing I added, that's going to be the first thing that I would choose would be this one. 29 crisp trim, whatever. These are panned left and right. I added this as just as a reference to the chord changes for the ear. And I'll also to give a little body. You know, again, it's a percussion-heavy song. And, yeah, again, I added it more to be felt than heard. So let's just solo those back in and see what we got. I'll mute them as we go. So you can hear something drop out, right? But it's not super obvious.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass flaws. I am nothing but a walking case of probable cause. Sometimes I think this world ain't nothing but a set of dirty jaws designed to chew upon perfection, spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy.
Gorilla's still bouncing. I'm still passing with flying colors with the long-suffering missus. All right. Fine. That's fine. Still doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Not doing anything I didn't want it to do. And I even leveled it up just a little bit. Up to minus 15 from minus 17, whatever. All right, so... And of course, the Sky Cry didn't do anything negative at all. It just added its thing, which I want it to add. Let me see. What do we have? What do we got left? The phaser strings. Okay, now. Wow. I hesitate. I don't want to have to kill the phaser strings, but I will if I have to. Or just like, make them work again. I think I'm more interested in getting these gongs back in. Okay, again, the newcomer is phaser strings. All right, so phaser strings is going to have to wait. It has to be the finishing touch that it was meant to be. Okay, so we're going back and we're bringing the gongs back in, all of them. All of them. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, and the box cutter, too. All right. Sorry to keep, playing it over and over, but this is what mixing is, what it's all about. Yeah, I can just, in this case, I can just start right before the chorus. That's where the gongs come in anyway. All right, here we go.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy.
All right. This is the first time that the bow drawn gorilla is starting to take a back seat. Okay? Just not as up front or right under your bottom. Right there. Not quite so apparent. Which I expected. So this brings me back to my earlier question. Let's go back to that track. So it was again peaking at around minus 0.2. Obviously, I don't want it clipping. I'm going to unfreeze it. Here's that limiter that I stuck in at the end. So here's what I'm going to do. The limiter is at 12. That's probably sufficient. So to test it, okay, bow drawn, minus 2.4. I'm going to bring it up to minus 1. All right, and let's watch this dB meter, and let's watch. The limiter has a little red light that blinks when it's clipping a peak, and of course there's the VU meter, but that's an analog. That's useless when we're dealing with digital. It just looks nice. I love view meters, but I like looking at them. They're fun, but they're not useful here. Okay, let's start again. Actually, this time let's go to the second chorus. This is where things get really intense with the gongs, and there's the bridge. That's where it clipped at. That's where the bow drawn clipped at negative 0.2 before. So that's where we're going to test this. Here we go. Took that fucker all the way up to 0. Clipping at -0.3. Here we go. -0.2. It worked. Did it work 100%? No. Yeah, the bow drawn part is doing it's behaving a little bit differently. All right, it's altered. I don't know. It's like it's had a couple of beers. What can I say? It's altered. It's not the end of the world. Even if you're in recovery and you fall off the wagon, or as I like to say, if you fall off the starship, because I'm not on a wagon, I'm on a starship. All right? I'm not on a wagon. I'm on a starship. If I fall out of the starship, then I'll fall into the vacuum of space, and I'll explode. I'll turn inside out like a sausage left too long in the microwave, and then I'll float eternally through the voids of interstellar space, frozen. A frozen, mangled, inside-out sausage, lost for all eternity. Anyway, if you're in recovery and you've had a couple of beers, not the end of the world. But don't do it. All right. So I'm going to take... I took it up to 0.0 just because. Just I wanted to push the envelope, potato. But I'm going to bring it back down to 1.5. I like odd numbers. 1.7. Holy number 7. I'm just going to leave it there for now. So far, so good. All right. It's going better than I expected. I expected some ugly problem to jump out and embarrass me, but it hasn't. And so that leaves one more thing. And yeah, I'm going long this time. Hour and 34 minutes and 25 seconds. Yeah, this is worth it. There's a lot here, man. There's a lot to learn here. If you don't have the time, then, you don't have the time. I don't hope that you're in a hospital for your recovery or something. I hope that's not the case. But if you are, and you've got YouTube, you got time. This gives you something to do. Something to look forward to when you get out. Maybe. Okay, so now I'm going to solo back in box cutter B, and that's the last thing is phaser strings. What is box cutter B? If you didn't see the video, hang on. If you didn't see the video, see if I can find that thing. Yeah. Here's where the box cutter B percussion track came from. Right there. It does. Eesh. Yeah. This is not a threat. This is not a threat, CIA. Spooks, goblins, traitors. Traitors to humanity. That's where this okay, that's where the box cutter here, let's go back to the beginning. Here's the box cutter track. It was meant to I wanted the sound of a wooden fish, which is a percussion instrument. It's a wood block with ridges on it, and you scrape a stick across it. You've heard it. All right? And it's... Hear it? That's this thing. And so in the box cutter B track, I use this Graillon. I don't know if it's a French pronunciation. I should look it up. I will. I'm not going to now. I just call it Graillon because it looks French. Graillon. It's a pitch shifter plug-in, and I did 4 octaves down on this thing. Better not cut myself. Just here was the percussion part. Over and over and over again. Just it was horrible to track it. It was really frustrating. My hand kept getting tired and sweaty. Yeah, that's DIY. And I turned it into a thunderous drum section. That was really just like it was just havoc up until this morning, and it's banished until this moment right now. We're going to see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to solo it back in, and we're going to go back to right before the first chorus where it comes in. It's actually there all the time, but I did volume drawing, right? So it comes in at the first chorus, and then it goes down to -9 dB during the second verse, and then back up to 0 dB for the second chorus and the bridge, then down to -6 for the third verse, and then back up to 0 for the third chorus and outro. We'll see if it stands. Priority number 1 is the bow drawn. Priority number 1 is gorilla. We're showing the gorilla due respect and reverence and love. All right, so we're gonna go in right here. All right.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy.
Okay. That gorilla is struggling to be heard now. Fair enough. Am I ready to give up on box cutter B? No. Of course not. I'm going to dial it down. First, I'm going to unfreeze it. Well, let me just go back and refreeze something. Let's see, what's not frozen right now? I can tell by the shading of the All right. Baldron is unfrozen because of the lighter shade of yellow, I can tell. Not because Cakewalk was thoughtful enough to put a snowflake button in the UI in the console view, but because now I look for that. That's frozen, that's unfrozen. So, let me go back and freeze. Freeze the Baldron, freeze the Gorilla. I'm going to pause while this is freezing, and I'll be back in a jiff. All right. Back with a fresh glass of Cola Zero. And Baldron Gorilla is frozen. Going to go down here to Box Cutter B. And before I re-level it, I'm just going to check out my effects rack. Going to unfreeze it. We got a lot going on here. Well, not too much. I mean, okay, so obviously the four stages of octave lowering are not going to change. Management, what am I doing with that? Okay. That's set for wide right there. Yeah, I'm going to A/B it for sure. Relife, that's an exciter. Usually I use it only in the mastering chain. But sometimes I use it on individual tracks. The tube leveler. All right. And colored compressor. These are the two that are on the chopping block right here, I think. So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to go ahead, I need some, I'm going to go in for this extended section here. The second chorus and bridge. That's where things get really wild. And I want to A/B stuff. Until, I want to see what I can do to bring the Gorilla out. Here we go. Well, that brought him right back. Take out the Box Cutter B track entirely. All right, that compressor's gone. Well, first, I spoke too soon. Yeah. Take down the makeup gain on the compressor, idiot. Hey man, the Gorilla's doing just fine. Doing just fine throughout that. And the Box Cutter B is doing its thing. But I felt differently during the first chorus. So why is that? Hang on. All right. We're going to go back here. Listen to the first chorus again.
That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy. Once upon a time, that gorilla in the corner of the room.
Watch what I'm doing.
He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so heavy.
Now it's got that jungle shit going on that I wanted, but it's...
Once upon a time, I lost a piece of my mind to a flash of sunlight and almost ran to be blind.
I'm gonna mute it.
Lost my way, but was a prince who were kind enough to lead me back along the labyrinths I left behind. So when I'm broke for my keys, the only thing I seem to find is that gorilla in the corner.
I don't hear it doing all that much. You know? When I mute it. So, I've soloed in everything anyway, except for phaser strings. We'll save that for last. Might as well click off all the solo S's. Okay? And mute phaser strings. And solo box cutter B. See how it sounds. Now it's nothing because the volume drawing's down here. Here it kicks in. Aha! Now that's interesting and unexpected. So this here is a 10 knob compressor. You know, normally I don't like to twiddle with 10 knobs on a compressor, but this one does nice things. But sometimes it does something unexpected that I in this case, something I don't want. Listen to what happens when I bypass it. Okay, now, do you hear that? Again. It focused it toward the center. It narrowed its stereo field spread presence. Why did a compressor do that? I don't know. But I do know that I don't want it. I don't want it. It's not helping anything. If anything, I want this one to be kind of spread out. So, okay. So here's how you get rid of this. This is how you nix it. 86 it. Right click. Delete. Don't click delete all because it'll clear your entire effects rack. Delete. Not that you can't undo that. You can. But anyway. So here's what we have to work with. Notice also the only compression I have now is in the Pro channel, assuming that's on. Pro channel. Okay, I could go for some tube. I could go for some tube saturation. Hang on. Well, I've already got the tube leveler, which is, what is the tube leveler? Basically, listen, kind of a tube emulation boost. You know, I could turn that up a bit. Hang on. This is a really subtle thing that it does. Right. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of shambling. It needs more compression. Just not that compressor. And why was it at the... You know what I should have done? Control Z. I should move it up in the chain. Why is it at the end? Let's listen again. Off. Again. I like the stereo separation. I don't like that compressor for this. Okay. So, okay, let me go back to the Pro channel. I agonized over this EQ setting. I decided I liked it. What is our compressor set to here? There's no preset. No preset on the compressor. It's on. All right. Let me see. Let's choose drums bus warm. Okay. Right. Okay, I'm going to pause it again for a sec and for a minute, maybe more, and think about this. Be right back. All right. I'm back, and I think I figured it out. I'm not going to add another compressor. Okay? Got a couple other tricks up my sleeve here. So first of all, yeah. I decided to re-level. Box cutter B during the loud parts from 0.0 to minus 1.7. Just because I like that number. We'll see how it works. Here's how you do that. Once you've committed to volume drawing, you can't just use the volume slider anymore. So you got to go to each point and mouse over it. Get the compass arrows, right click, properties, and hang on. I want this one, right click, properties, it says 0.0, minus 1.7, enter, and you see that the node goes down to reflect the volume change, minus 1.7. Unless there's a shortcut to that I don't know. That's how you do it. Okay, now, that implies that I got those box cutter B drums quite a bit louder, which I did. How so? Originally, I had it sent through two buses, the drums bus and the gongs bus. I had disabled the gongs bus, rendering it a lot quieter. Here's the diff. Here's through both buses. All right, let me solo it. Disable the gongs bus. Gongs bus. Now notice that the level to the gongs bus is minus 13.5. At full level, it's way too, listen. It's way too much. What was that, minus 13.7? Right around minus 13. Okay, 13.8, I can live with that. So, there's a lot of reverb, you know. I didn't expect that to fly, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Let's go back to the first chorus and unsolo this. And let's listen for our Baudron again. I still hear it fine. I hear the bending. Yeah. Oh. Now box cutter B is down to negative 9 dB. For the second verse, I'm gonna mute it and unmute it. Yeah, you can feel the dropout. That's bringing something to the table, and it's not bad. Okay, here it comes back. Just going to check the buses. You know, I'm sending box cutter B to the drums bus and to the gongs bus. What are in those buses? Buses, in case you missed it, they're kind of detours for the signal with plugins in them. Okay, and you can just choose which tracks you want to detour through those buses to receive processing from those plugins. It just once you get it, once you understand it, it makes a lot of sense. It saves CPU usage, and it's just useful for organizing your mixes and whatnot. Anyway, drums bus is clipping. Drums bus is clipping. All I've got on drums bus is a spatializer setting on channel tools. I don't know why it should be clipping. Well, I guess because I'm running too much signal through it. Derp. All right. So I'm not going to put a compressor on it. Nah. I don't want to use any more compression at this point than I have to, man. Because the more compressors you use, just trust me. Unless you really know what the fuck you're doing, man. Like, you can really fuck up your mixes just like using compressors willy-nilly. At this stage, I usually try to find a solution that doesn't involve adding another compressor. I'll either look for a compression stage that I already had earlier, and maybe I switched it off intentionally or otherwise. Adding a compressor is just kind of my last option that I'll try if I have to. So, the conservative thing to do here, the better thing to do here, safer thing to do is just to level, just bring down the volume slider in the drums bus, okay? Now let's just see if it clips again. All right, here we go. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy. He's so All right, now the drums bus is peaking around minus 0.1. I think that's fine. Just in case, why the hell not? I'm going to dial up our old friend Ferric and not modern tape, gentle leveling, and just park it there. That's going to keep it from clipping. All right? That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy. He's so Oh yeah. Now it's not functioning just as a limiter, it's doing something even more. Done like a dead nun. Sorry. That was uncalled for. Did you hear that? Okay, that's actually doing its saturation thing. Okay, it's not as transparent as I said. Sometimes, all right. It is pretty transparent though, but sometimes sometimes it has muscle. In certain, like in this situation, it's taken all those drums and it's giving them some punch. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. Leave the limiter right. Yeah, it was peaking around minus 0.5, and those box cutter B drums just poking through just the right amount during the third verse. I want to go back and listen to that again. Back to track view. All right, let's listen as it second chorus finishes into the third verse. Whoops. Now box cutter B clipped again. Okay. Where did it clip? At what did it clip? Clipped at positive 0.1. Okay. Anyway, this is the process. And right now I'm liking it. I can still hear the bow drawn. I'm going to keep tweaking it. I'm going to keep working on it. But listen. Mute the badron. All right, so I got to level down box cutter B. I got to go through all those nodes again. You know, got to work on the volume drawing for that part, because putting ferric in the drums bus, I learned something there. It changed everything, and eventually it's going to be for the better that it changed everything. There's more punch, there's more clarity. There's some things kind of flying everywhere right now that I just have to tame it and bring it under control. It's going to be fine. So this now remains to be seen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it one more time. I think this is the last time. We're going over 2 hours this time. Yeah, fug it. It's worth it. Okay, and yeah, I'm going to re-level box cutter B rhythm so it doesn't clip anymore. You know, I could. All right, look. I could go back into the drums bus, all right? And yeah, because you might ask, why not just turn up the limiter? Well, as I mentioned before, if you overdo a limiter, you know, just listen. We're over 2 hours now anyway. Where are we? Where's it clipping? Hang on. Okay, it was clipping. Where's it going to clip? Right soon. There it is. Okay. Stop right there. going to turn up the limiter. Turn it up to 12. Let's see if it clips again. This is still the limiter in the drums bus. Okay, it didn't actually clip. It went to 0.0, but it still gives a warning. Yeah, I could turn up that limiter setting on this plugin in the drums bus, but at what cost? I don't know if you heard it, but when I cranked that limiter up, the Baudran became, it got buried. It got buried. And that's unacceptable, right? So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it like right there, you know, right there, and not a lady's pubic hair more. Uh-oh. All right, I still have audio? Okay. I thought I heard a dropout. Anyway, we're still recording? Yes, we are. Oh. Sometimes I step on the cord and it pulls out of my headset. Okay. All right, so we're leaving that. Hang on. I just want to make sure at this setting, Baudran's still coming through. Baudran. Yes. There it is. I'm going to pause. I'm going to take these nodes down to, I don't know, from minus 1.7 to minus 2.5. Be right back. All right, I'm back. I leveled those volume drawing nodes down to negative 2.5, minus 2.5. Drums bus is peaking at minus 0.4. And now here's one of those serendipitous things that happens. And I swear, you know, it happens. And it's happening right now. So I'm at the part, the end of the bridge where the lyrics go, talking about the gorilla. Sometimes he tries to laugh, but it just comes out a groan, for he remembers the garden well and the flaming shapes of hell. And at this point, you know, like these box cutter B drums and the other drums, they just get like super intense. And I swear, I can hear it. I can hear like this snarling and growling. Like the gorilla is snarling and growling. And it's not, it happens here, man. It doesn't happen earlier. It doesn't happen later. It happens right fucking here. At this point. While these lyrics are being spoken. Listen. I'll start it a little bit earlier so you can hear it come in. drums bus clipped at 0.1. That's fine. Remedy that by taking the limiter up 1 click. Just 1 click should do it. It's not going to make any difference to the rest of what we just heard. 1 click, maybe 2 clicks. If I come back and catch it again, 1 more click up, and it'll just shave that peak right off. Okay, so yeah. If I hadn't called myself on my own bullshit and, owned it, yeah, I'm bullshitting myself, and rolled up my sleeves and put off my plans, I would still be unhappy with this mix, but telling myself it's okay. And maybe telling you it's okay. Maybe I'd be bullshitting you too. You see? I may be in recovery and I'm doing good, but I can still be an asshole and bullshit people. Right. But I'm honest about it. Take my word for it. Yeah. So, what the hell, man? This is the longest one yet. 2 hours, 17 minutes. And 30 seconds. So, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's finish this. Let's go back into track view. Why we don't need to go back into track view, do we? No, we don't. But I like it for the sake of you guys. It's just more. It's better for right now. It's better to be in track view, I think. Let's just go back up to our final element is phaser strings. And we're going to see, I want to refreeze. Hang on, I said I wasn't going to pause again, but I'm going to pause again. And I'm going to freeze the box cutter B track. Because I got to see a man about a horse again anyway. All right, back in a flash. And by the way, another reason not to always reach for a compressor is because you want some dynamics, right? Here's the box cutter B percussion track frozen. There's a process signal. I'm glad I didn't add another compressor. There's some up and down. There's some dynamics, right? That's what gave that guttural thing at the end of the bridge, right? Because my drumming got more intense. Probably, I don't remember consciously doing it, but the velocity of my hits increased. I got more intense playing that thing. And so if I had added another compressor, aside from other things it would have done that might not be healthy for the project as a whole, this would be a much more like solid band without the ups and downs. And in this case, I want those dynamics, man. So don't over compress things. It's actually a problem in if you care about the music biz and commercially popular music, and there was a thing for a while called the compression wars. Loudness. Everybody sings louder all the time. Louder, louder, louder. And so it's more and more compression. And, the pros know how to do it without, they can get away with it. Put it that way. I don't want to get away with it, even if I can. Anyway. Basic stages of compression. Pro channel compression. Okay, one more compressor in the... This is my general rule of thumb. I've got the compression stage in the pro channel. That's a given. Not always a given, but usually a given. And then if I need it, another compressor plug-in the effects rack. which in the signal path, as a reminder, comes after the Pro channel. And then if I add another compressor, it's going to be the Finisher Micro, because that thing just doesn't cause problems. If you use it right, it just doesn't cause problems that are normally associated with compressors. All right? So, don't overdo compression, because trust me on this, man. You'll be happy with a mix, and then you'll use too many compressors, and then you'll come back to it the next day. It'll be like the next day, and you'll come back through, and you'll hear all this pumping and all these noises and shit that weren't there before, and you'll be pulling your hair out trying to unfuck it, especially if you don't know what's causing it. So don't do it. All right? Now, we're down to the final element, phaser strings. So here's what I'm going to do. Where do I have phaser strings leveled? Okay, I froze box cutter B. I'm unfreezing phaser strings. I've got the Molotov, that's up on the chopping block. I've got the TDR EQ, going to keep that. Fin Micro, going to keep that. Air windows consolidated, probably going to keep that. We got our good old friend Ferric there, probably as a limiter, which might not be a good indication. That might be an indication that I need to take Molotov out of the chain. We're about to find out. So I'm going to start right before phasers. Well, no, I'm going to start from the beginning this time. I'm going to unmute phaser strings, and we're going to hear them come in. Away we go. I was right. I was bingo, bang on, right. It's exactly what was going on. That compressor is out of here. Now it's probably not going to clip. Well, no, it clipped after I shut the compressor off. After I bypassed the compressor, it clipped. This is why I had our good friend Ferric TD S in the chain. Limiters at 12. Levels at 0.0. What was I thinking? Well, I think because it was so subtle in last night's mix that it had to be there. I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt this time. So what am I going to do? I'm going to leave the limiter bypassed, the limiter saturator, analog tape emulator limiter bypassed, and I'm going to bring this down to, let's bring it down to minus 3.3. And just listen to it kick in again.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake response. I am nothing but a walking case of probable cause. Sometimes
that's better.
This world ain't nothing but a setup that's each yours. Designed to chew up perfection. Spit it into flaws when I am plotting my escape. The only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in
And has zero bearing on our Baldron. Okay? Again, this is back where I had meant it to be. Just a shimmer on the surface. Just a texture. Is that easy? And I have no more use for this. Goodbye. And now it's just down to tweaking. I've got the level down at minus 5.1. Let's just hear it kick in again. And then I'll mute it during playback, and then I'll unmute it during playback, and we'll just listen to the texture come in and out.
Well, I have had it up to here with all their fake ass bras. I am nothing but a walking case of
Mute.
probable cause. Sometimes I think this world
Yeah.
ain't nothing but a set of empty jaws designed to chew upon perfection and spit it into flaws. When I am plotting my escape, the only thing that gives me pause is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy. He's so heavy, so Once upon a time I lost a piece of my mind to a flash of sunlight and almost rendered me blind. I surely would have lost my way, but for some friends who were kind enough to lead me back along the labyrinths I left behind. So when I'm broken for my keys, the only thing I seem to find is that gorilla in the corner of the room. That gorilla in the corner of the room. He's so heavy, so heavy.
Yeah, a couple other problems, issues. Gongs are a little washed out now. And hang on a second, be right back. One thing I'd forgotten about in the last little while was the new snare. I'd forgotten to level that up. Totally, I forgot about it. So now I've got it leveled up to negative 9.1, minus 9.1. And yeah, right now, I'm real happy with the way things are balanced. Yeah, it's time to, here, listen to the snare now. It's good at the beginning, and it's mostly popping through. Later on, it's going to take some tweaking, but listen. And then during the first chorus, I can still hear it. Not every hit. It's not as important there, obviously. But and again, something I'm going to keep tweaking. But overall, I'm really happy I stopped bullshitting myself, rolled up my sleeves, got down to the bones of it, and did the restructuring that was needed. I'm glad I did this video. I'm glad I went on for over 2.5 hours. And I don't regret the loss of the opportunity to crank up the amplifier. It's not needed now anyway. And I'm kind of like, I've done all the cranking I need to do. I don't feel the need to do it just for the sake of it anymore. Although it's fun. But the long-suffering missus is going to be home. I don't know when she's going to be home, but it's going to be tonight. So it's time to wind down. Do a fresh mix down. And put it on my phone. Put it on my other earphones, my noise cancelers. And, go for a walk. I haven't been outside all day. Go for a walk. Maybe go treat myself to a chicken sandwich. And, boy, this is when the vampire comes knocking. Oh, yeah, because, you have a good day. You get a lot accomplished. Some good things happen. Oh, you want to celebrate with that little drinky poo. You do. Still, man. Still. It's like that. It's just an impulse. It's the vampire tapping at the door. Remember me? Remember how fun? Remember the good times we had? Yeah. I also remember I'm getting better at remembering all the lousy times. It was mostly lousy times. So, I'm gonna, this is a pretty small void now that's left. There's other ways to fill it. Not least of which is the pride that I take for not succumbing to those urges, I always feel better on the other side of it, stronger. Yeah. All right, so anything else to add? I don't think so. Oh yeah, well, so I'm going to, this is called main vocal. Where is it? It's called main vocal because I plan to do some backup vocals, some harmonies. And I'm still going to give it I'm still going to give it a go. So that will be the topic, the subject of the next installment. And who knows, but that might be the last one in this Building a Song series, this first Building a Song in Cakewalk series, Gorilla in the Corner of the Room. If you've made it this far with me, thank you very much. I appreciate it, even though I don't know that you did. And again, if you do leave a comment and I don't answer, it's because YouTube didn't send me the notification. Go figure. All right. If you're struggling with, the booze demons, here's something you can do. Said it again and again. Got a decent laptop. All the software is free. You might need Spring. Gonna need Spring for a microphone, but they're not prohibitive these days. You were able to afford booze or whatever else it is you were doing. You're not doing that anymore. And you haven't ended up sleeping under a bridge. You can afford one of these. You can do it. And you can also, go down to the Goodwill, pick up an old beater acoustic guitar. If you can't play it, get on YouTube, chisel away at it for a couple of weeks and learn all the cowboy chords in the first position, and you'll be strumming away in no time. There's no excuse. I've laid it all out at your feet. It takes time, investment, that's for sure, but it's nothing compared to the learning curves that you'd have to take on to... You watch these, saves you hundreds of hours, telling you. Okay, that's it. It's dinner time, and it's time to move the studio back into the bedroom. So when the long-suffering Mrs. walks in, she's pleasantly surprised. That's important too. All right? Okay. 2 minutes. 2 hours, 38 minutes, 45 seconds. I'm going to go for 2:39 because I like that number. I am the alcoholic audio engineer from lovely Paju City, South Korea. Over and out.